So in a couple of days I'm going to be hosting a game, and two people are going to be taking part. My friends Peter from Mini Warzone and a chap called Stephen who has a website called The British Empire, which I'll put a link to at the bottom of this video. And we're going to be playing an American Civil War scenario from this set of rules here, Black Powder, which is a very popular war game set of rules set in the Black Powder era, so the age of musketry. And it's a scenario that I've played quite often. It's called Daybreak at Hangman's Creek, and what I want to do for a change is I've purchased the American Civil War supplement to Black Powder some time ago now. I think it's back in April, and it's very interesting supplement. I've never actually employed it though so far, and I wanted to see how the scenario played out using some of the amendments, the rule amendments that they suggest in this book. In particular, artillery is a lot more powerful, and there are rules such as for the use of cavalry, which is more appropriate to the American Civil War, where it's much easier to mount and dismount, and to employ the dismounted cavalry troopers using their kind of rifled carbines more effectively, because with the shorter range, but they have the ability to re-roll one of their misses. Other things include, let me see, there's a quality called Rebel Yell, which allows a charging Confederate unit to re-roll one of its misses in melee. They're the main differences, but I think it is going to make a big difference to this scenario. So I just wanted to try it out, make sure I've got everything ready for the game. So I'm going to give it a little run through on my own, and then just host the game on the day, and hopefully be able to film a lot of the combat and give you a better kind of battle report than I normally do. But I'll probably have to help Peter out a little bit, because he hasn't played a lot of American Civil War. But that's the other thing, that we're both very keen on Congo at the moment, but he's talking about getting into the American Civil War next year, and my figures are all 15mm, which for Black Powder I think is a good scale if you're only playing on a 6-foot-by-4 table. A lot of their table size suggestions are totally kind of unachievable if you live in a kind of small house or don't have access to a large floor space. Some of them are played on 12-foot-by-6 tables. So what I tend to do is like to play 15mm and use centimetres instead of inches as the scale for range and movement and so on. But anyway, let me show you this scenario. Basically what it involves is there is a town. This is it here, represented by these 4 buildings. This is Hangman's Creek, and it's early in the morning, and the only Union troops on the table are a picket, which is on this ridge here. Now the Confederates are going to come in from this side here. Dividing the table is a river, which is only passable via this bridge. So that means that there's kind of 2 sides of the table, really, and the bridge becomes very important as a sort of strategic point on the battlefield, linking the whole battlefield together. But the Confederates can choose where they come on, anywhere along this edge here, and they have three objectives, which are to occupy Hangman's Creek itself, which I always deem to be to have a unit in position at that road junction there, to capture this Federal camp here, and also to capture this arms factory, this sort of weapons factory here. Now, most of the Union troops are off the table. There is one regiment already in the arms factory, and there is an artillery unit in the camp, but neither of them are allowed to act until the picket open fire on the Confederates, so until they hear the sound of gunfire, or vice versa, until the Confederates open fire on the picket. And the Union commanders are all in the town. They have to get to their respective brigades, and that means at the beginning of the game they are a long way in terms of command distance from their units. One is going to come on via this road here. One comes on from the camp, so they're basically in their tents asleep, and the other comes on way over here via this road here. Now, that is one important aspect of this revision when you're using 15mm and centimetre scales, that you have to make sure that the objectives are within kind of reasonable reach of the Confederates across the table. So you have to make sure that the table is supposed to be, what is it, I think it's 12 foot by 6, so that would convert to 144 centimetres across this way, and 72, I believe, 72 centimetres that way. So basically, don't have the objectives right out at the edge of the table, because that makes the equivalent table size in inches absolutely massive, and the Confederates have a problem reaching their objectives, and the Union have a problem with their command distances as well. And equally, allow the players to bring their units on about 6 inches in from a table edge if they're using a 4 foot long table. So in other words, the proper table edge begins about where this break in the river is, about there, and the same over this side here. So allow both players sort of 6 inch leeway from the table edge on either side. That's basically what I'm saying. And the Confederates, although the Union troops are kind of obliged to come in at 3 certain points, one brigade at each of those 3 different points, the Confederates can make their mind up on the day. And as I say, I've played this scenario several times, and it's always had a different outcome, which is one of the things I like about it, really. But what I'm thinking of for my little solo practice is to try not to kind of awaken these this picket here, rather to try and sort of bring the armies on by the flanks, bring the army on by the flanks, and maybe join up at that bridge there, and that way I'm going to allow the picket to have line of sight so they can see the armies coming on, but they won't be able to open fire on them and thereby alert the town, and that might give the Confederates a little bit more of a surprise attack, as it were. So anyway, I'm going to try this out on my own. I might take some pictures of it as I'm going, but I'll give you a commentary on the day when we actually play the game for real. So see you later. Okay, here we are then. It's the day of battle, and dawn is breaking, and Pete is playing the Confederates, and he's got a storming start. He's managed to roll really low dice, so he got 3 movements out of most of his brigades, and he's sweeping towards the first objective, the armaments factory there, without the Union being able to wake up. My pickets are put on the ridge here, and he's kind of outmanoeuvring them. He's not coming across the centre of the table, so they haven't been able to alert the town yet. And on this side he's got 2 brigades. This brigade didn't move very far, but the one on the flank is also sweeping round and is about to threaten the camp. So he's off to a good start, and the Union troops are still asleep in their beds. Right, so my picket line has come down off the ridge. It managed to open fire on the Confederates there, so the town has been alerted now, but they've not had a chance to give any orders to anything to come on the table. And in the meantime, Pete has opened fire on my picket, and they are now disordered. He rolled a 6, so they're disordered. And over here he rolled a blunder, so he's actually gone backwards, and you've got a retreat result from that, so he's actually moved back, which is good for me. And over here he's still kind of sweeping forward towards the armaments factory, so in the next turn it'll be my opportunity to try and get some figures on the table. So the generals now are waking up from their breakfast and have to get moving. Okay, well, I've got some infantry onto the table now from this side here. So the Union forces have woken up. Over here, Pete's thrown another blunder, which means this this unit here went to attack the nearest unit, move as close to them as possible, so they come charging down the road, making them very vulnerable. He's doing well over here. He's got these figures a bit more forward. My general failed to get his troops out of their tents, but he is in the camp now, so it should be possible next turn. And equally over here, nothing extra on the table, but the commander, brigade commander's close by now, so he should be able to get his troops onto the table next go. And the Confederates looking very threatening over here. And Pete's formed into line with 2 regiments here, and their fire against my pickets have been very effective. They've got 1 casualty and 1 disorder marker on them, so they're not being very effective. Right, well the battle's definitely hotting up. I've failed nearly all my orders, so I haven't got much on the table, but this artillery did manage to get an order to turn fire on the enemy as it approached, and I really clobbered. I threw 3 6s on that column there, so Pete failed to save any of them, so I disordered him, and he's got 3 casualties now, which means that's his stamina level, so he's shaken. And over on this side of the battlefield, got some figures coming on in line, but they're really kind of on the edge of the battlefield at the moment, but at least they're on the table now and be able to receive orders in the next turn. So it's back over to Pete to see what he can do next. Right, so I think despite the fact I haven't got much on the table, Pete's attack is definitely faltering. He's not been very effective in his firing. And over here, even though I've only got the 1 artillery battery there, it's putting him off attacking me, and he's decided to go off this way and get behind the cover of this wall, plus with those figures there. So he's running to shelter at the moment, I would say. So we're going to just have a brief break for lunch, and then it'll be my turn after lunch. Right, well the guys have woken up and got out their tents, got up to the fence, and have shot away at the Confederates, so they're inflicting masses of casualties. The artillery shot those to pieces as well, even though they're behind the cover of the wall. Over here I got a blunder, so one regiment managed to get up to the stone wall, shoot on them, but the other two regiments blundered and they've ended up running away from the enemy, so they're now down by the river. And over here I just failed to get any orders through, so this group of figures is still on the edge of the table. So this is the worst threat really coming up. So it's over to Pete now to plan his moves for the next turn. Okay, Pete's managed to get a lot of hits in on me now, so I'm taking a few casualties down this end. And over here as well, yeah. Got a lot of shots in there, disordered me and got, I'm shaken at that point, but not having taken excess casualties. And he's obviously got plans for his army commander, who's making this gallant move from one side of the battlefield to the other. I think that was about everything that happened in that turn. Pete's trying to make up his mind what to do now. Thought I'd film this.
Well, to all my southern USA brothers, I'm sorry guys, I'm not doing too well here. Right. Can't do much with these guys anyway.
No, they're whipped.
Yeah.
Which is out the supplement. If they break in shooting normally in Black Powder, they're just off the table. But in the supplement, Glory Hallelujah, they become whipped, so they can't move towards the enemy.
Yeah, they're in a kind of fail source right now. So
yeah.
If I wanted to order him to do anything, I'd be at a -2, wouldn't I?
Yeah. I'd leave them there, just firing away. I mean, the artillery firing at my...
Yeah, but look at it. I've got 3 units.
Yeah, they're going to fire back eventually, yeah.
It's going to get destroyed if I leave it there.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm going to try and order him to limber up and move around that way.
Okay, so you've got to measure the distance between your brigade commander and the...
Yeah, that is...
Right, so -2 off your command.
Well, we'll try it.
6. So you're normally 8.
Yeah.
So that would take you down to 6. So that's one move. So they can
move.
limber.
Right. Well, it's better than nothing, I suppose.
Well, not really, because
you think so.
Limber artillery is a much easier target to hit. So
yes, it might seem like craziness right now. Okay.
So yeah, okay. Right, on with your. I'll give the viewers a break at this point because this is going to be tragic. We'll come back to this.
Hey.
Right, so the situation is that we are now on to our second day of wargaming, and that's because the game went on quite a long time yesterday, and the weather, I've been reviewing the video footage and you can see that the weather really affected the quality of the filming. It was very dark outside all day yesterday, and I apologise for the quality of the images from yesterday's game. I mean, it's slightly better today, but we gamed on into the early evening yesterday, and obviously the light failed completely, and we hadn't concluded the game, so we decided that we'd pick it up later today. So there's a little bit of a hiatus at the moment, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to describe what's happened so far in the battle, but also to talk about the rules, the Glory Hallelujah supplement to Black Powder, and how it's affected the game and what I think of it. And I have to say, I'm very impressed. I'll try and go through a few of the things that have happened in this game and how the supplement has changed the rules. So first of all, over here, at my last point of filming yesterday, Pete's attack on this flank had stalled really. Now, I was very fortunate that as he came across this side, he rolled a double six and blundered, and his entire brigade on this side had to retreat for one turn, for one move. And that was, I just, by the skin of my teeth, then managed to enable all these, my brigade over this side, to get out of their tents, and they got up to this fence line and managed to kind of form a line, a defensive line. So that was what really saved me, and that would have happened in the old set of rules. Anyway, the blunder rule exists in the original Black Powder rule book. But what also really made a big difference is that artillery is a lot more powerful in Glory Hallelujah. Normally, artillery would roll 3 dice at short range, so under 6 inches or 6 centimetres if you're playing using centimetres. 2 dice at up to half range, and 1 dice at long range. Because the author of Glory Hallelujah suggests American Civil War batteries were larger, you now throw 1 dice at long range still, but you throw 3 dice at medium range and 5 dice at short range, so sort of canister fire. And I rolled 3 dice when I was firing on this regiment here, through 3 sixes, disordered that regiment, and also Pete failed to save any of the saves, so he was immediately shaken. So that really intimidated Pete, I feel, because he then kind of pulled a lot of his other regiments away from the attack and moved them over there. And later in the game, I also managed to disorder that artillery that he's got there, just from musketry fire here. Excuse me. And so he then decided to limber up, and I then managed to hit him again with another casualty. So basically, the amount of firepower here completely destroyed his attack, really. And that was partly, or in a large part, due to the increased ability of the artillery, which, to my mind, is a lot more representative of what happened in the American Civil War. Lots of other issues, though. If you move, when you successfully roll 2 dice for a command in the original Black Powder supplement, if you get 3 below the command rating of the commander, it allows you to actually make 3 moves. That's still the case in this supplement, but what they do prevent now is that in the original set of rules, you can move 3 times, and then in the shooting phase you can fire your weapons, you can fire your muskets. You can't now do that in this. You can only fire in the shooting phase if you've only physically moved once. So that stops these very kind of unrealistic, in a way, charges, three moves and then firing. So that works really to the Union's benefit in this scenario, because the idea the Confederates do really want to get across the table quickly, and it would be nice for them to, having got across the table quickly, to then open up with a volley of musketry, and you can't do that now. and I think that's a good rule amendment. I believe they may have, the authors of some of the Napoleonic supplements may have done that as well. I've heard talk of that before, but it's an amendment that I think is reasonable to do. A lot of other things as well, though. This attack over here has not only now faltered, but a lot of these units actually got excessive casualties from shooting, and then had to roll for a break test, and rolled well below 4. Pete rolled appallingly, and the units were broken. Now, in the original supplement, if that were to happen, you just take the unit off the table, and I don't think that's a very kind of realistic thing to do, because you suddenly get huge gaps in the table. On the table, in this new supplement, Glory Hallelujah, instead of being removed, the unit becomes whipped, which means they stay on the table. They can't be restored from their shaken status, and if they get a disordered marker, they can't remove that either. They can't advance towards the enemy, and in fact in the first turn they have to make one move back away from the enemy. But they're still on the table, and they can still receive orders. Their command modifier gets a penalty of 1 as well. So they are harder to command, but they are still there. They are still able to receive orders and to fire at me. So they're there as a presence. I mean, if I were to attack now, they would be obliged to move backwards. They can't be within 12 centimetres of any of my units. But they are still there, and they're still pouring a little bit of fire onto this line. And I think that is a reasonable amendment, and I like that. I don't like just removing units wholesale. A whipped regiment does still count as broken from the point of view of brigade morale, and in fact this entire Confederate brigade over here is now broken. So they can remain in place and fire, but they can't advance towards me. So in other words, the attack over here is over. He can't now get to this objective with that particular brigade. Lots of other things over here as well to do with the rules. The cavalry in Glory Hallelujah are much more manoeuvrable. So you get a free turn, a free move at the beginning or at the end of your move to either mount or dismount. So I've got my cavalry over here, and they were able to dismount and then pour a volley into that brigade there that had to retire and are broken and are now whipped. So that's very similar to the way horse artillery in the original Black Powder rules work, that they can limber or unlimber at the start or end of a turn. Cavalry can do the same. They can mount or dismount, and I like that. Another thing is that the cavalry troopers are armed with rifled carbines, and that allows a rule where they can fire more rapidly because they're breech loading. So what you do is you don't roll more dice, but if you miss with one of the dice that you roll, you're allowed to re-roll it. If you then roll a 1, then that means that you're running low on ammunition, so you can't use that rule again during the game for that unit. And in fact, that's exactly what I did. I re-rolled and rolled a 1, and again, I like that. All the infantry in this scenario are armed with rifled muskets. Now, so that means that I didn't use another rule that's in the supplement, which is a rule called pour it on. Because smoothbore muskets were easier in a way. If they were muzzle loading, they were easier to reload, because you're not ramming the bullet down a rifled barrel. There's a rule in the supplement that allows you to fire more rapidly with smoothbore muskets. It's called pour it on. We're not using that, but it's another rule that I think is an interesting supplement. Let's go over the other side of the battlefield here, where there's some other things of interest happening. Now, over here, the battle is not going so well for the Union side. I'm failing to get my regiments on here. One regiment that did get on got excessive casualties in shooting, and I rolled badly, and this regiment is now whipped, so it had to retire, and also it can't do much in the way of advancing towards the enemy. So, but it's still on the table. And in the factory itself, I'm at the point of excuse me, of being pushed out. So Peter's nearly got the objective over here, but that brings me on to another element of the supplement, another rule which is called Rebel Yell. Now, in general, in the supplement, it is much harder to charge a unit frontally. You get a -2 penalty on your command modifier, but despite that, Peter did manage to charge this unit here with that unit there, and having successfully made a charge, the Confederates have an ability called Rebel Yell, and that allows them, in the first movement, in the first turn of contact, the first round of melee, to re-roll one missed attack dice, and it also compels the Union troops to re-roll one successful save. So that did definitely swing the balance in the Confederates' favour in that attack. So harder to attack. The rules try to produce a result where both lines sort of stay firing at one another for a protracted period rather than getting into melee. But in this circumstance, they did attack, they did win the melee, and they're at the point of, I had to retire, but I'm not quite out of the factory yet, so I've got to do something to bolster these guys' chances, and it is my turn next. Yeah, and that's the main things about it, but I think it produces a game. It's very well thought out. It produces a game that, to my mind, is a lot more representative of battles in the American Civil War. And as far as this changing this scenario goes, it's hard to say, because this scenario always does seem to produce different results every time I play it. But I like the increased abilities of artillery. I like the added rules that give it a little bit of flavour, American Civil War flavour. And really, that's only about 10 pages out of the supplement. The rest of the supplement is full of useful information, history, details of arms and equipment, and it's also got a lot of scenarios in it. So I would highly recommend anyone interested in Black Powder and the American Civil War to get their hands on Glory Hallelujah. It's definitely a good buy. So anyway, later in the day, hopefully, Pete and I will resume this epic struggle, and we'll see how we get on. I'll do some more filming later. Right, here we are then. Finally got going again, and I've just had my turn, and I've unleashed a sort of devastating volley of fire all the way along the battle line on Pete, so he's had to withdraw that regiment slightly. He's been disordered over here. Didn't manage to do anything on his artillery, but over here this Whip Brigade has had to pull back even more, and that regiment there had to withdraw from excess casualties from shooting from these lines here. So it's not looking good for Pete. but we'll see what he can do. See what he can do in his turn now. Right, Peter's very pleased with himself because over here he managed to. I had a regiment here that he charged in the flank and broke them, and because these are broken in hand-to-hand combat, not in shooting, they do come off the table. Had they been broken by excess shooting, they would have become whipped in this new supplement, but it's only excess casualties from shooting. So he broke them. The supporting unit successfully retained its morale, but that means he's now whipped 3 out of the 4 regiments, which means this whole brigade over here is broken. So I'm going to have to retire away from him, which means he's captured the factory. So he's got one of his objectives. So it's kind of balanced. On one side, he's got a whip brigade over here, and I'm well and truly in command of the objective, and over there the opposite, he's in command of it. So it's all going to be about the fight in the centre now, where we've each got an opposed brigades that are still fighting. So we'll see what happens in the middle. Right, so I'm in a tough spot over here. Haven't really inflicted any shooting damage on him. But here I'm really threatened now, because I managed to get this regiment into line firing at his artillery, which is now unlimbered, but didn't inflict any casualties. So he's now got an unlimbered battery there. It's about to hit me with artillery fire. And over on this side, the brigade he's got in the middle, I am managing to keep at bay, and I'm forcing back his broken brigade even more. My cavalry mounted up in an attempt to charge this gun here, but didn't get that far. So again, I'm going to suffer some artillery fire, I think, here, but it shouldn't be too serious a matter. And that's how the game's going so far. Right, so the Confederates' plan is to leave one regiment in the factory guarding the objective, and to ignore these Union troops over here now because they're broken, and they're turning around and they're going to approach the bridge and come over and join the battle here. On this side, the Union are probably getting the better of the fight in the middle. Cavalry have just had been enfiladed by fire from these guys, so they took a lot of casualties. They're disordered, so they won't be able to move in the next turn. So I really want to try and clear this artillery away. So I might think about attacking with my line now. And that's how the battle's going at the moment. So it's fairly evenly balanced. Right, so my casualty has been shot up again and have retreated whipped. And I'm trying to advance this regiment here just to drive that annoying artillery off the table. So it's interesting how leaving the units on the table, they still affect the game. In the original Black Powder rules, you'd take them off once they were broken, so it is making a difference to the game in that respect as well. Over here, I've got to the shaken and disordered point with this regiment receiving artillery fire, but they're still there, so they're still able to fire back, and the musketry on the artillery means that this unit is now shaken as well. That battery is shaken. And Pete's still trying to withdraw his regiments and get them into the fight, so I'm slowly being driven off the table on this end.
We're up.
Yeah, because he's within 12 of me and he's now whipped, you have to move back.
Just going to get the tape measure.
Okay.
It's 12, isn't it? Do you want him to go through the terrain or?
Round it, I think, because it does slow you down.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. That's all you can do with that brigade.
That's where's his commander gone? He's over there, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that's the only one you can give orders to now, because the other three are all disordered. So you might as well keep him with the artillery.
True. No point moving, no point moving, no point moving. Right, okay. This is coming along quickly. Right.
Which, who does that regiment there belong to? Him. Right, so you've got 4, yeah, so you don't want to move them?
I thought they were disordered. I'm not remembering.
Yeah, I'm getting confused.
Otherwise, I would have. Otherwise,
Oh, hang on, it's 1, 2, 3, isn't it? Yeah, that's it, they're part of that, yeah, they are
Yeah.
disordered, they're part of the Whip Brigade, yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
It's just over here then.
Over here. Well, first thing I want to do is move this unit
Yeah,
over here.
okay, right, up to the wall.
Yep.
Who are you ordering them with then, the commander?
5. Yeah.
Yeah,
Him.
no, or with him?
No, with him.
Right, okay, yeah.
So.
So they can move up to the wall.
Yep. Let's move them out of the way.
Lighting's failing again. You can see on the screen it's very grainy.
Yes. Don't worry, boys. We've got these Union scum on the run, and he's joined part of them, isn't he?
Well, no, he didn't give the order. It was him
No.
who gave the order, wasn't it? So he's still free to do whatever he wants.
Didn't he have to join them though?
No. He's only joined in that previous turn.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he can
Right,
detach
that's that.
again now. Yeah.
We'll have. Right, so he's -1. would you
Right.
agree?
Okay.
To get them up to the edge here.
Right.
No.
9. So you failed.
That's not good.
No.
I can't do anything else.
Well, you could order someone with the army commander now. They can't be ordered to do anything because they're disordered and whipped.
Yeah.
So it's only that one. So you might as well try it.
Yeah, I might as well.
So measure the distance and
25.
25, so it's on -2.
Go on, be kind. 5.
5, yeah. Yeah, so 8 -2, 6, so you got 1 move.
That's not bad. Not bad at all. Heading in this direction. There we go.
Right, and then you can move,
Do you want
to move your commanders?
Well, I don't think I'll be moving them anymore. So I'll move my commander just up
Right,
here.
yeah.
Oh,
You might as well keep that one within 12 of them.
is he able to try and rally off one of these?
No, once they're whipped, you can't rally off the disorder or the shaken.
No.
So they're in that permanent state now.
What about these guys then?
Yes, you could, yeah.
Or him?
Or him, yeah.
Him
yeah.
would be better, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'll do then.
So he passed his. So has he ordered anything yet?
Nothing.
Nothing. So he can do that then. Yeah.
Um,
oh no, he did.
no,
he
he
just
did,
tried.
yeah, he did.
And he passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he can do another one. Try and rally. So measure the distance.
Oh, yeah. Between the.
It's to the artillery. It's to the actual battery.
32.
32. So that's -2.
4.
4. He's done it right. So he goes up and
That's
attaches
fine with me.
and takes one off.
There we go.
Right. Okay. Right. So I'm beginning to feel a bit worried now in the centre here because I am beginning. I had this unit here that finally broke under all the artillery fire, and Peter, and he's also broken my skirmishers at long last. Finally. So I am beginning to be put under pressure in the middle, and all these units over here aren't really doing anything. So we both lost one flank. But in the middle, things aren't really going my way. So it's really whoever breaks the opposing brigade in the centre has kind of won the game, because once you've got 2 brigades broken, the army's broken and they all have to withdraw. So it's going to come down to who can who can whip the 2nd Brigade as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Right, well, Peter's just won the game in dramatic fashion. I had 2 turns where I was rolling really badly and not inflicting any casualties on him. And he was rolling really well and saving the casualties that I did inflict. And then right in the middle here, he's been able to sort of like bring both sides in, and he's now just broken this regiment here, having previously broken that one and that one, which means that brigade in the centre is now broken. So I've lost 2 of my 3 brigades, which means my army is going to have to start to withdraw off the table. So that means in the course of time Peter will capture all the 3 objectives. So effectively that is the end of the game. The best I can do is sort of fight a prolonged retreat, but I won't be able to stop the inevitable. So Peter's quite pleased with himself. And that's, I think, as well as all the remarks I made about the improvements that the supplement have made, the fact that you leave regiments on the table rather than taking them off has made a big difference to the game as well, because those regiments have still been able to keep up fire, particularly the artillery, at a distance, and affected the game, whereas before they would have just been taken off and left huge gaps in the table that the enemy could then move into. So I think that is a far more realistic rule than taking broken regiments straight off the table. And it worked really well, and it was quite a close game. Don't you agree?
Oh, very close. I didn't think I was going to do it.
Yeah,
There you go.
no. Bloody rebels. Right. Okay, so that's the end of that one. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you on the next video.